You know, I always wondered what the exact difference was between a debacle and a calamity. Now I think I know. Tonight was a debacle.
Twilight's tone was thoughtful.
I'll say, never seen Fluttershy like that, nor seen Rarity so ticked off. Matter in a wet hand.
There was an indignant cluck from nearby.
Sorry, Melinda. No offense.
The two ponies were leaning against the wooded fence next to one another facing the east. Neither of them had slept the previous night. While the Grand Galloping Gala was generally expected to last well into the early morning, their first experience had ultimately ended in total chaos. So once the dust had settled, the six friends had spent hours hanging out with Spike. They'd let him show them the sights by way of apology for forgetting him in their earlier excitement. It was generally acknowledged that time with Spike had, in fact, been the highlight of the night. Now it was hours even after that. Once Spike was safely asleep in the library, Applejack had walked home with Twilight accompanying her. Behind them, Sweet Apple Acres was just starting to stir.
And I never saw Princess Celestia like she was tonight.
Twilight mused.
I mean, I'm glad she was happy. It was the happiest I've ever seen her, aside from when Princess Luna returned. But in all the years I've been her student, she always seemed so serene, so formal, almost aloof.
Maybe she just wanted to see that snot-nosed nephew of hers get his comeuppance.
Applejack suggested.
I gotta say, I weren't too impressed with him myself. When I think of what that critter said about my apple fritters, it still makes my blood boil. Not to mention how he treated Rarity.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it must be like, having your heart broken like that.
Well now, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Applejack rolled her eyes a little.
You gotta bear in mind, this is Rarity. And as much as I love her to death, she can be kinda,
Drama queen?
Yeah, a little. Still, I suppose it must be disappointing. Having your cap set for a fella and finding out he's such a jerk. Been worse than being told off from the start.
Twilight looked out at the dawn.
I suppose. I've never had the experience.
Never been turned down? Or never asked a jerk?
No, I mean I've never asked.
Oh. Well, I guess that makes sense. But you've been asked.
Twilight shrugged.
I suppose.
Applejack nodded.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at. But Rarity... I do declare, I've never seen a man with such demanding taste in a fella set up and get up.
Twilight cocked an eyebrow.
Meaning?
Well, let's just say a pony's gotta be able to afford her. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't calling her a gold digger. That girl would give her own tail to help a critter out. And we were both there when she did. But Celestia knows she's a mare who wants for pampering. Them as cans need not apply.
She added at Twilight's frown.
Me? I ain't so demanding.
Applejack mused, her own gaze returning eastward.
All I want's a pony I know I can love, and know that they love me back. Some pony I can wake up with in the morning and watch him sleep for a little before I get up.
She smiled.
Some pony I can trust with my heart, even when times are bad, and who smiles when I touch their mane. The rest is kinda negotiable, you know?
Then her smile faded, and she went on.
But me and Sweet Apple Acres, we're a package deal. They wouldn't have to buck apples or paint the barn. I can do all that myself. But to be with me, they'd have to move in here. The farm is a big part of my life, Twi. I'll support them in all of their endeavors, but I need them to support me in mine.
Applejack sighed, concluding.
And for the few ponies I've ever looked at, that's been a deal breaker. A big one.
Twilight stared.
That's crazy! It's so beautiful here. How...
Applejack shrugged.
I don't know, but that's the way it is. I reckon Big Mac might get hit someday. Maybe he'll move out. Or maybe they'll raise their kids here. I'd like that. Applewood will find some pony too. Like as not. And maybe she'll move off somewhere to be with him. Though I'd miss her something fierce. But for me, I'll live out my life right here on the farm. With an apple tree on my grave when I pass.
She smiled again.
And that suits me right down to the ground.
The breeze toyed with their manes as it went by, smelling pleasantly of apple blossoms and green grass. After a time, Applejack finally said,
So what do you look for?
Huh?
In a partner.
Oh.
A pause.
I don't.
Applejack cocked her head.
You mean like it'll happen when it happens?
No, I mean like, I'm not looking for anything to happen.
Twilight hesitated for a moment, and then took the plunge.
I'm not attracted to any pony. Mares, stallions, whatever. I'm not into it. I'm asexual.
Applejack blinked.
Oh. Well, alright then. You okay there?
Relieved and glad, Twilight leaned her head on Applejack's shoulder.
I'm fine. Thanks.
Smiling, Applejack leaned her head on Twilight's.
Anytime, Sugar Cube.
After a while, they were side by side again. Twilight's gaze turned wistful.
2 bits for your thoughts.
Oh, I was just remembering when I tried to talk to my mom about it. It didn't go so well.
She want a grandful someday, huh?
Twilight shrugged.
It wasn't even that. She was just so convinced that I could never have a fulfilling life unless I was doing it.
She slipped into an impression of her mother.
Oh, honey, I just know you'd like it if you tried it.
Applejack stared at her.
Seriously?
Uh-huh. I tried to explain it to her, that I didn't want to try it, that I was perfectly happy without... She just couldn't get it. I mean, she wasn't mean about it, and she tried to be supportive toward the end, but just the same, I walked away thinking that maybe there was something wrong with me after all.
Sounds pretty rough. How old were you?
13. And yeah, I was pretty wrecked. Fortunately, I'd been Princess Celestia's student for a while by then, and I talked to her about it when I got back from break.
Yeah, I gotta say, the princess is a fine lady. She get you back on track?
Twilight nodded.
Uh-huh. She knew exactly where I was coming from. In fact, No pony brings it up in Canterlot, so I didn't know until we talked, but it's no secret that she's not into sex either. Never had a lover, never going to. And perfectly happy.
I reckon that must have helped.
Twilight grinned.
Well, it's hard to think you're a total misfit when your mentor is the same way.
Huh? Wish Rainbow had that kind of luck.
Twilight frowned.
Why? What happened?
Oh, it was a while back. But when she was a little filly, I guess she got 7 different shades of hay over being into mares.
Rainbow Dash? But every pony she's ever looked at
Has been a stallion.
Applejack finished for her.
Sure, but Cloudsdale ain't like Canterlot, nor even like Ponyville. Farther away from the princesses, maybe. And Rainbow stood out in a lot of ways. So it didn't matter if she was or she wasn't. It was just something to call a pony like it was an insult. And for the older folks to pick on her about. And they did. Got into some nasty fights, I guess, when she was little. If you can call 3-on-1 or 5-on-1 a fight.
Twilight stared in disbelief.
That's horrible.
Well, times are better nowadays. Just the same, though. One time, she overheard a couple of fillies giving Applebloom a rough time on her way home, saying stuff about her and Sweetie Belle. Way I hear it, Dash might as well have stabbed them bullies as scared them to death. One of them, Silver Spoon, she went on about how she was going to tell her daddy before she ran off, but nothing ever came of it. So either she didn't, or he decided she was in the wrong.
They watched the sun rise together a while longer, in comfortable silence.
Well, I better get going. Got a lot of chores to do. But listen.
She put her hoof on Twilight's shoulder, and Twilight turned to be met by Applejack's eyes as the orange mare spoke to her in a voice both serious and gentle.
Comes down to it, Twi. You ever change your mind about farm living? You just let me know, okay?
Twilight smiled.
Aw. Thanks, AG.
They hugged briefly, and Applejack trotted into the barn. Twilight went back to contemplating the dun for a moment, before her head whipped back around to stare at the barn in wonder.
Wait, what?